Nerds and jocks are typically put across from each other in classical high school logic. It's come a long way from the days of old, though, as there is plenty of crossover between the two breeds. This goes for many different kinds of nerds, including comic book fans, fantasy freaks, and intellectuals. Here are 10 nerds who turned into superstar athletes. For those of you who love ad-free viewing and free things, we're excited to announce the Premium Network. The Premium gets you early access to videos from The Sportster, CBR, The Gamer, and many other great channels. Literally thousands of videos in one place with ad-free browsing. How sweet is that? Sign up for free at The Premium by clicking the link to start binge-watching videos from your favorite channels. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and join our notification squad. Benson Henderson. While he may not be as well known as he was a few years ago, we shouldn't forget just how good Benson Henderson was. A former UFC champion in the company's strongest division, Henderson has since left for Bellator, but he is still a force to be reckoned with. Don't think just because Anthony Pettis hit him with a Showtime kick that he's a jobber. He's a pretty damn good fighter who is also a nerd. Growing up, Henderson's family didn't have a lot of money, so in the summers he would head on over to the comic book stores and read. Henderson's favorite books are most definitely all the X-Men titles. He even considers himself to be most like Shatterstar, one of the most 90s characters in comic book history. Look how extreme he looks! Henderson attributes his love for the X-Men for their commitment to protect a world that mostly hates and fears them, as well as having female members be on equal footing to their male counterparts. Yeah, kind of like the UFC, so that's pretty neat. Ronda Rousey. We can sense the comments coming right now, piling on this former UFC women's bantamweight champion for being a loser, a baby, yada yada yada. But we're not here to talk about Ronda Rousey the athlete. We're here to talk about Ronda Rousey the nerd. And Rousey is indeed a nerd, there's no disputing that. The Rowdy One's nerdy obsessions fall back on two bedrocks, Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. We suppose it shouldn't be a coincidence that Rousey loves these two Japanese products, considering that judo originated from the land of the rising sun. In her Reddit AMA, Rousey's knowledge was put to the test and she passed with flying colors. From spouting facts about Mewtwo's stats, busting out the name of the obscure Pokemon throw, and discussing which Dragon Ball Z character she would want to train with, Rousey got a black belt in nerd culture. If that wasn't enough, Rousey used to moderate a Pokemon Stadium 2 forum back on GameTalk.com. If you want to look up her account, her forum name was Mew182. Vince Carter. Not all nerds are into larger-than-life fantasy adventures or comic book superheroes. Sometimes they're into something which would make them prime cannon fodder for bullies in classic 80s movies. You know, save for the fact that Vince Carter is a 6'6" basketball player. So what was Vince Carter's big nerd thing in high school? Marching band. That's right, Carter's skill on the basketball court was only matched by his skill with a saxophone. In fact, his blowing talents were so good that he was offered a scholarship to Bethune-Cookman College in Daytona, Florida. If his saxophone playing wasn't enough, Carter also played drum major. Carter's musical talent comes from his stepfather, who was the leader of his own marching band in high school. Not just sticking with music, Carter also dabbled in poetry in his spare time during high school. We're going out on a limb and guessing NBA fans are glad Carter chose basketball over music. Josh Cribbs. Known to NFL fans as one of the best punt returners in the league's history, wide receiver Josh Cribbs was never the biggest man on the gridiron. In fact, at a relatively tiny 6'1" and 192 pounds, Cribbs was one of the smallest men in the sport. Making up for size, though, is Cribbs' big love for Marvel Comics. The retired Cleveland Brown may not have brought them with him, but Cribbs still has his comic collection at his parents' house, just as I'm sure a lot of us do. His favorite characters per his own words are Punisher and Ghost Rider, two of the more violent and brutal characters in the Marvel Universe. Cribbs has a collection of over 100 comics featuring those characters. The former Brown also credits his brother Harold as the reason why he collected comic books in the first place. Funnily enough, Cribbs also credits his brother for being the reason why he got into football in the first place, too. Basically, if not for Harold Cribbs, Josh Cribbs wouldn't be awesome. Thanks, Harold. CURT Schilling. Here we go. We didn't say that every athlete who's also a nerd is necessarily a world classic guy. Case in point, former Red Sox pitcher CURT Schilling. As a player, Schilling was known to fans as a tough, hard-working son of a gun who played through the World Series with an ankle injury. Upon his retirement, Schilling used his money from his MLB days to open up a video game studio called 38 Studios. This may have seemed to come up from out of nowhere to casual observers, but Schilling was big into tabletop games and MMOs such as EverQuest and World of Warcraft. Unfortunately for Schilling and his employees, his skill as a pitcher didn't translate into talent as a businessman. Long story short, the company ended up being a gigantic disaster with only one game released to show for it. Schilling lost all his money, and several pissed-off employees have gone on record to discuss their hatred for their former boss. Schilling's dream of being Bill Gates rich went up in flames along with his savings. At least he's still a nerd though, right? Here is a little trivia question for you. Which three starred in the 1990s NBC cartoon Pro Stars? The show featuring those athletes stopping crime and helping children. Yep, athletes as superheroes. The 90s were weird. Demetrious Johnson. If we're talking about superstar athletes in terms of highest paid or most popular athletes, Demetrious Johnson wouldn't be here. If we're talking pure skill and accomplishments, there might not be anyone more deserving than DJ. DJ has tied Anderson Silva's record for most consecutive title defenses, and considering he's only 30 years old, there's a good chance he'll break that record. This little ball of flyweight fury isn't all business though. When he isn't in the gym, Johnson can be seen playing Dark Souls, Ghost Recon, Bloodborne, or anything really on his Twitch account. Curiously enough, he refuses to stream any UFC video games, but that doesn't mean he avoids fighting games. You can catch him playing esports staples like Street Fighter and Tekken, and as you would expect from a real-life fighter, he's pretty damn good. Unlike some fighters who like to flaunt their wealth and run their mouth, Johnson is perfectly content with this situation. He trains, he goes home to his wife and kids, and plays video games whenever he has free time. He might not be the most exciting character, but damn us if he isn't relatable. And it's a damn shame that because of the UFC's Reebok deal that we can't see DJ rocking his Xbox shorts anymore. Tim Duncan. Without a doubt, one of the greatest power forwards to ever play the game of basketball, Tim Duncan's countless accolades and championships speak for themselves. The San Antonio Spurs legend is known for his spectacular play, but what a lot of his fans might not know is that not only does he throw balls, he also rolls dice. That's right, Tim Duncan doesn't just dip his toe into nerd culture, he makes the full plunge by playing Dungeons & Dragons. For sports fans who might not have even heard of this, Dungeons & Dragons is a classical tabletop game where you create your own fantasy characters and roleplay with friends. In fact, Duncan's love for magic and fantasy is so hardcore that he wanted to be called Merlin when he entered the NBA. Now that's up to your neck in nerddom. Not enough for you? How about the fact that he regularly attends the Texas Renaissance Fair? It's not known what his preferred class is in D&D, but if we had to guess, we're going with Wizard. Makes you wonder why he never considered playing for Washington. Maybe Orlando. Anyone? George St-Pierre, the greatest fighter in the history of MMA. Yep, we said it. With that cleared up, let's dig into the cesspool of nerddom that is George Rush St-Pierre. Just like he is in the octagon, GSP has all his bases covered when it comes to nerdiness. If you're looking for a comic book nerd, GSP can be your man. St-Pierre has spoken at times about his love for comic book superheroes, which can be seen in his signature technique, the Superman Punch. St-Pierre can also often be seen rocking superhero rash guards on his Instagram. Not to mention, he was in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Can't forget that. What was the most unbelievable part about that fight? The fact that GSP didn't go for one single takedown in the entire fight. That's why you lost, George. We can take giant green rage monsters, magical gods from Asgard, but a GSP fight without double leg takedowns is far too far. His comic book love, however, pales in comparison to his true nerddom, dinosaurs. By his account and several others, GSP has an obsession with the long-gone creatures. He's such a fan that he even hosted a special on the History Channel in Canada called Boneyard. Funnily enough, GSP once attributed his love to be the reason why he has a hard time finding a girlfriend. Evidently, that isn't a problem anymore. CRISTIANO Ronaldo. Everyone has their opinion on acclaimed soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo. Some think he is a pompous jerk who never shuts up, while others praise him for charity work and extreme talent on the pitch. Truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. One thing that nobody on either side of the fence can deny, though, is that he is a damn good-looking dude. For his haters, though, it may soothe them a little bit to know that he wasn't always the looker he is now. There is a photo from 2004 that has floated around on the internet which shows a much different Ronaldo than the one we know. Here's the checklist for the current Ronaldo. Perfect tan? Check. Washboard abs? Check. Perfectly coiffed hair? Check. Now let's do a checklist for 2004 Ronaldo. No tan? Check. Acne? Check. Messy hair? Check. Acne? Check. Racers? Double check. We get it. We have to cut him some slack here. After all, he was only 19 years old at the time of the picture. Then again, he is the highest paid athlete in sports. We think that he can afford to be made fun of just a little bit. Xavier Woods. While everybody in the WWE's New Day has a certain nerd factor about them, it's no contest who the biggest one is. Well, no, not literally the biggest one, but you know what we mean. The host of the popular Up, Up, Down, Down YouTube show, Woods is the biggest gamer in pro wrestling, which is saying something as that business is filled with gamers. He has a Legend of Zelda tattoo on his arm, has claimed to beat Final Fantasy VII 900 times, and plays tons of games on his Twitch account. Not only that, but it was recently announced that he will take part in an esports tournament playing Tekken 7 against highly renowned player Holy Knee from Korea. Ooh. Can't use your trombone there, Xavier. If that wasn't enough, Woods has not one but 2 degrees from Furman University in South Carolina, one being a master's degree in psychology as well as a bachelor's degree in philosophy. Not enough fancy papers for you? Woods is also currently working at a PhD in educational philosophy. Jesus, this guy is super smart, is a massive nerd, holds the record for the longest tag team title reign in WWE history, and had sex with Paige? There are degrees to jealousy, and we definitely have it of the highest caliber. Finally, the answer to our earlier question. The 3 athletes in question were football's Bo Jackson, hockey's Wayne Gretzky, and baseball's Michael Jordan. And you thought Space Jam was out there. That's it for our list. What are some other big nerds in sports that we missed out? We'd put money that there are plenty of other nerds hiding out amongst pro sports leagues that haven't come out of the closet. Be sure to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the Sportster for more awesome content. Enjoy!